Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me very well. If you can I just see your comment on the chat right here that you can hear me very well and that you can also see me. Thank you so much for joining us live. We really appreciate it for also joining in very early. We are really excited. The last Women Will event that we held was over, if I'm correct, like over 4 months ago, right? Just when the lockdown started here in Lagos, we had one event, and then lots of things has just been happening, and we haven't had anything yet. So we are very excited. I am very excited that we are having another one here. I can see a lot of people joining me. Thank you. You can also just tell us, hey, where you are tuning in from. Right? Are you in Lagos? Are you in Lekki? What part of Nigeria are you in? Are you somewhere else? I would like to know. I can see Modupe, Lydia, Victoria, Nkechi, Chine, Chinkuma. Thank you so much for joining in. There's a lot of people here. This is really exciting, and the numbers are rising. Awesome. So our first guest is already in the studio. As a matter of fact, I think she would joined in before I did. And so I'm going to introduce her in a bit. But before I do that, allow me to just say a bit about Women Who Like He and also why we decided to do this event. Now, my name is Pisitimi and I lead the Women Rule chapter. Oh my God, there's someone from Scotland. Nice. I lead the Women Rule chapter for Lekki. Women Rule is simply it's a Google initiative that is to empower women in areas of digital literacy, in areas of business leadership, and entrepreneurship. Our goal is simply to make sure that every woman, wherever they are empowered to live the lives they want to live, whether they're in the workplace or they're in business or in non-profits, and they have all the skills and network and resources to be able to do that. There are over 100 Women Real chapters all over the world in different countries, and I'm humbled to lead one of the chapters in Lagos, which is the Lekki chapter. And so that's what we do. We always hold events as much as we can, usually physical events, but with every other thing now online. Now that you understand who Remy Oleki is, what are we doing about what is this event for? Before I say that, let me say hi to a few people here. We have Ella from Canada. We have Chin, who is saying that she's currently in Malaysia but mentally in Lagos. We have Victoria from Accra. We have Ramfat from London, Pete from Port Harcourt. There's a lot of people here, and I'm super excited that you guys join in. Now, what is this event about? It is, well, first of all, this event is to mark Women's Entrepreneurship Day, which is held every year simply to it is held to spearhead women's entrepreneurship and to celebrate and support women that are in business worldwide. So on the 19th of November, every single year, Women's Entrepreneurship Day is celebrated, just a way to celebrate and support and to connect with women who are building amazing businesses that are solving lots of problems all over the world. And so we decided that it would be great if we held an event to actually mark Women Entrepreneurship Day. And the theme of this event, like you know already, is building the business of your dreams, right? How can you build a business that you love? How can you build a business that not just solves problems for people, but that also gives you the benefit that you want, whether it's money or it's network or it's fame? And we have lots of amazing speakers, like phenomenal women who are speaking today. We have Damilola, she's the founder of Shotlat. We have Tosin, who is an architect and entrepreneur. We have Bolanle, who is a TV host and entrepreneur. We have Odun, who is the co-founder of Piggyvest, one of the big tech brands in Nigeria, I think in Africa. So we hope that at the end of this event, that we would have been able to inspire you, that the people who will speak today would have been able to inspire you, and you will get all the lessons that you need to be able to build the business of your dreams. You'll be able to identify brilliant ideas. So how do you know the idea to pursue? You learn that here today. How do you understand? How do you know how to leverage partnerships, how to pick your partner? We'll learn that today. How can you stand out in your field, whatever that field is? You learn that today. But we're starting from building your business from the ground up. So how do you start with just your idea and you build something from scratch? And that's a topic that Damilola is taking first. And so it's not me you guys came to listen to this. So I will go right up and introduce our first speaker, and then we hear from her, and I'll come back, or my colleague Joyce, who is also in the studio, will come back and also introduce the other speakers. So who is Damilola? Damilola is the founder of Shotlas. She is a powerhouse. She's a social entrepreneur and the co-founder of Shotlas Logistics. Damilola is Shuttlers Logistics is a company that uses web and mobile app technology to enable users to book trips along fixed routes at 60 to 80% less than ride-hailing services. Domino has received numerous awards such as Forbes 30 Under 30, the Award for Digital and Tech Award, and the Award for Digital and Tech at the Women in Africa contest in Morocco. She has also received the award for Best Idea at the Also Villa de Mode. She's a global shaper of the World Economic Forum, amongst many, many other things. Hi, Damilola.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Oh, fantastic. I was trying to look for my mic. Maybe I should unmute it. Yes, I'm
Awesome.
doing well.
Thank you so much for coming. We are excited. And so now I'm just going to go backstage and let you have the floor for the next 20 minutes.
All right. All right.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. So if just to know that everybody's here and hearing me, if you can hear me, just say hi in the comment section. Just say hi. I'm happy to be here. Just like Peace said, I'm the co-founder of Shotlers, and think of Shotlers like school bus for professionals, right? It provides affordable yet comfortable transport in Lagos for professionals and companies. So we have over 100 of those big coaster buses in about 11 routes in Lagos, covering over 300 bus stops. But you won't know because our buses are not branded. And the topic today is building from ground up. And I giggled when I saw it because it just practically sums up my entrepreneurship journey. Because I just said that we have over 100 of those vehicles flying Lagos every single day. And we built that from practically nothing, like really nothing. Like we didn't have, we're not venture backed yet. We just use a few of our savings and a bit of grant funding to scale up to a company that is now worth millions of dollars and sold over 1 million dollar tickets over the past couple of years. And we've done that with practically no or little marketing budget, right? That is why you've not seen us on maybe the billboards yet, and you will see us very soon. Okay, so down to my story. I grew up in Ibadan. I did not grow up in Lagos. So let me give you a backstory so that you can understand how low the ground was, because then everyone here will be able to relate to say, okay, how can I do this? Is it because, do you have like connections with transport companies? How were you able to do this? So let me give you my own backstory so that you would understand how low the ground was and how high it is right now. So I grew up in Ibadan. I loved to draw growing up. So my dream as a child was to be an animator and work in Disneyland. That was my fantasy. But as I, started, doing jump and reality started setting in, and I realized that man, there's nothing like animation here in Nigeria. You have to either be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. So I picked engineering because I loved mathematics and I loved chemistry, and I learned that if you study chemical engineering, you work in an oil and gas company like the likes of Shell and Mobil, and you make a lot of money. You marry your Prince Charming and everything. And that was the dream, right? But I remember my first experience coming to Lagos I was born in Lagos, but I came back to Lagos for my University of Lagos, and I was kind of shocked by the way people use public transportation in Lagos because in Ibadan things are quite not like Lagos, guys. Lagos is not sane. Like things that happen here are not, it's not normal in other places of the world. Just for you to know. So I realized that there's a lot of chaos and people are just working very fast. I can remember when my sister was taking me to Unilag for the first time. We were going to use the public transportation, and I realized that she entered the bus before me. I was usually looking for. I was frightened at the bus stop. I didn't understand what was going on, right? That was my first experience with Lagos bus. And that experience, I got into Unilag, I got used to it. Um, Life goes on. But fast forward to my third year in school, just like how there's a long ASU strike now. There was a very long ASU strike in 2009. I can remember very clearly. And I was just at home not doing anything. And my sister said, "Oh, why don't you attend this intensive program called DLA, Digital Leadership Academy? You know, you learn about vision, mission, all these things, solving problems, entrepreneurship." I'm like, okay, I don't have anything to lose. I enrolled in that class. I think I was one of the youngest in that class, and that class practically changed my life. And I understood and kind of made me think about my why. So really, why am I here? And I think that that is where to really start from, to understand why you are here, because that would set the tone, the foundation of every other thing that you are trying to achieve, every other mission you are trying to accomplish. You need to first understand what your why is. So that was my first encounter and trying to understand why I'm here, why am I here, what am I here for? What am I meant to do? So I was very hungry, hungry for a solution to solve, hungry for problems to solve. But at that initial time, what I liked that time at the age of at year three was fashion, right? I liked to look good. You know, we had very few ladies in university then, and we like to look good and everything. So I channeled my energy into trying to solve some problems in fashion. I mean, this is bring me to my first point about in trying to start from the ground up. You need to first you need to ensure that you've picked the right idea. The idea that is viable in order to go the long haul with, because not all ideas are viable or can turn into money or can sustain you in Nigerian markets. When I finished university, I for the first time I traveled outside the country for the first time, and I went to Dubai, right? And you know, most times when people travel to Dubai, you the best thing is about safari, you know, the safari rides and all of that. But I was really carried away by the train system. The fact that Dubai had an underground train system. This was in 2014, 2013. And at that time, we did not even have we didn't even have, I mean, we don't still have a working train. We didn't have a working train then. Public transportation did not have air condition. And that really just blew me away, that how can a train go underground? We don't even have an underground sewage system. How can a train go underground and then come up and then pick people so efficient? You know, the train system, or even saw an hologram at the train system, makes it was just mind blowing, right? Coming back to Nigeria, I was practically depressed. If I had the opportunity of staying back in Dubai, honestly, I wouldn't come back to Nigeria. I was depressed. I was like, why do I have to come back here? Why was I born here? You know, all of that. But because I already had that foundation, that seed that was sown in that class, in that session, in that training, I really understood that where there are problems, so it was now like my eyes were now clear for me to spot out the problems, because I had already seen that this is not like normal. This is not how we should move from one place to another. Fast forward to I talked to a few of my friends, then my childhood friend Busola, and my recent friend then Damola Quadri, and said, guys, I'm facing this problem. How do you think, you know, are you facing this problem? How do you think we can solve it? And in 2015 November, we ran our first pilot. Then again, this is another point that you should note, that in starting, you don't need to have it all figured out at first. We didn't have any investor. We did not have any plan for anybody to invest in us. We believed that we could find an efficient way to, solve that problem without us buying those buses or any vehicle. So let me just give you like insight into this. So in 2015, one of those coastal buses cost 25 million, right? In 2016, dollar rate increased. Not even what it is right now. It was still 330 then, and it increased from 25 million to about 50 million naira. That's the brand new of those coastal buses. So imagine if we had to buy 100 of those coastal buses. So that wasn't possible. So we had to devise a means of creating that platform, creating that service in the most cost efficient way. Now, this is another tip of starting from the ground up. You do not need so much resources or so much before you can test or pilot your solution, even if you think that, oh, this solution you need. I mean, a lot of people told us that time that, oh, you can't start this because you need to buy a bus, you need to do this, you need to do that. We started pilots in November 2015. We ran the pilot with six of our friends using 2 cars, and we're even charging times two of what we're currently charging now then, and people still were willing to pay for it. Although we started in November 2015, by January 2016, we had to shut down the service because the model wasn't right. And we shut down this service for about 9 months because we just wanted to understand how best to solve this problem, right? This is another point I'll point out that when you've launched and you face challenges, do not feel discouraged, or if you have to shut down, if you don't have resources. We shut down for 9 months. We applied to accelerator programs, and we applied for grants. We did some pitches, and by October 2016, we're able to win a grant that gave us then was worth $10,000. That is 3 million naira that was going to us by Airtel. And with that, we were able to solve the problem of, we were able to kickstart in one route, which is Aja to VI. And we started with 10 to 12 people, and we've scaled to over 3,000 daily users in Lagos. How did we take that from 2016 to now without being venture backed? I saw pieces tweet a few minutes before this session that, what ventures are receiving funding, equity funding nowadays. We had a few challenges at the beginning, right? Because a lot of investors did not understand our model. They didn't believe that, you guys don't have expertise in transportation, you don't have expertise in technology. How you're a non-technical co-founder, how are you going to build a platform that is like Uber or Taxify and use infrastructures as big, like that is 10 times the size, 10 times the price of cars, and run an efficient service in Lagos, right? And what we did differently was to remove our focus from investors and focus on our customers, and that changed the game, right? We focused on understanding the needs of our customers, understanding what they want, how they wanted it to be solved, tailoring the solutions to ensure that we have a good customer market fit, and we didn't feel any pressure to do any launch or advertisement, and that gave us time to really understand the model and understand what we were doing to ensure that we have a great product. And right now we are the leading bus hailing service in Lagos, and people don't really know about us, how big we are, and it was also a strategy, right? a strategy for us to be underestimated by our competitors, because being a lady in the transportation section and in technology industry, every single time I walk into meetings, there'll probably be like a giggle of like, she's even a lady. Even at the beginning, right? I did not position myself as the founder of the company. I positioned myself as the staff of shuttlers so that we could get those contracts, we could get those, those introductions, because the first reaction is just to be underestimated, right? And we have worked our ass off, literally, and proven them wrong, that we are here to stay. We understand the market. Right now, before, when we used to pitch to investors, we'll have like beautiful pitch deck, we'll talk, they'll ask us questions, we'll talk. And at the end of the day, then we'll go back and forth. They'll be like, oh, we're so sorry. We can't get back to, we don't, this is not the area where we would like to invest right now. For example, fintech is really hot right now. And you would think that, oh, if I build a fintech app, that would help us raise funds and all of that. But I think that you should focus on your why, like I said at the beginning, and solve a problem by ensuring that, you pick an idea that you're either solving a problem out of your personal passion or your skill, or something you're really good at, and not because the market right now is hot for fintech, is hot for health tech, and that is what I should do, right? Because wherever you are, if you are creating value, you attract value as well. You attract investors. You attract partnerships. Just in a corner, my corner in Lagos here, we attracted funding from Ford Motors, Nigeria, not Nigeria, in America, the Ford Motors, right? My corner here in Nigeria, without doing any pitch, they're going to Silicon Valley. They gave us grants worth 80K. And we still have very good relationship with them because we want them to be our future investors. And I'm saying all of this because so that you would understand that in finding your idea, in finding the right product to work on, you need to be true to yourself to ensure that you are picking that product or that idea for the right reasons. Because the journey, whatever I'm saying now in 15, 20 minutes or 25 minutes, doesn't cover the sleepless nights, the headache, the tantrums, the hard work, the tenacity that's involved in entrepreneurship. I don't know how to put that into 15 minutes. So you need to make sure you pick the right idea, viable idea that people are willing to pay you money for. Do not focus on investors, focus on customers. They are your investors. When you have customers, right now, when we have conversations, we are currently raising our first round very soon. And when we are having conversations with investors, we don't talk too much. We just send them a pitch deck and with our numbers, right? When they see the numbers, they understand that, okay, this is a viable market. It's now a question of, is it something that we're willing to invest in? Is it a market that we understand? Is it a market that we believe that can scale across maybe Africa or anything? But that the market is not viable. We've already proven that by focusing on customers. And I would say in a nutshell, that is how to build from the ground up. Yet again, people wonder, oh, was I connected? Actually, people ask questions. Why? I did not have any form of connection to anyone that my parents, let me give you even perspective. My parents retired NEPA officials, right? They worked there for 35 years. So there wasn't any like backing anywhere or auntie or uncle anywhere. But because we believed so much in the idea, the problem that we're trying to solve, we validated that the problem existed. We created a solution that can solve that problem efficiently by spending just little amounts, spending a lot of. In fact, our first technology, right? We're trying to build technology like Uber, right? Our first technology was WhatsApp. We used WhatsApp to communicate with our customers. We used WhatsApp for tracking. We used Google Map shared on WhatsApp for people to track the bus live. I was I joined the bus in the early, our first bus on our first route. I was the bus. Now we have bus captains everywhere. I was the first bus captain. I was the first customer service person in Shotland. So you need to be able to, you need to be ready to also do the job, especially if you are starting from the ground up. Because if you don't have resources, so for example, assuming we started as we at our idea stage and we're able to get into YC or Sisters or 500 founder, 500 startups, and we got like 100K funding in our idea stage. Fantastic. We would scale, we wouldn't have anything to struggle. We would just spend some money for marketing, but that was not the case. And we did not give up even when investors did not understand what we're trying to say, or we didn't have the right team that time to do what we're trying to achieve. But we shifted our focus. I stopped talking to investors, focused on my business, on Shotlers, on making money so that we could provide enough solutions so that we can even get enough profit to pay people's salary. And I will tell you that we grew the business from bootstrapping. It is Shotlers is very profitable right now, and that is not the case for most startups that even backed by VCs. And not to say that that is wrong to be backed by VCs. We also want to be backed by VCs. In a few weeks' time, few months time, we are going to be backed by a VC or VCs. But just in case when that doesn't happen at the early days or at the initial stage, do not give up. It doesn't mean that your business is not viable. It doesn't mean that you're not on the right track. It means that you have a lot of more work to do in convincing people that this is the solution that they should be backing and be backing you on. Practically, that is my story. If you have any other questions, I'm here to answer them. But yes, that is my story of starting from the ground up. Over to you, peace or joy.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Your story is so inspiring, just like Joyce said. We have one quick question here. The person says, when you were building Shotlers, did you have a 9 to 5? And if yes, how did they affect your business?
Okay, so when I was so my my partners then had a 9 to 5. So I also had co-founders at the initial stage, right? They had 9 to 5, but I'm a sucker for focus. I strongly believe in focusing your 24 hours in a day on one thing. Even if you don't understand it at first, even if everything was blurry at first, it will get clearer when you really focus on one dot, focus on one thing. I did not have a 9 to 5. I told myself immediately after school, I told myself that. So I had my first pitch, like I said, with my parents. So I pitched to my parents because they did not. I was reported to every single person in our family, our pastor, our neighbors. Everybody knew that I was willing to drop chemical engineering for entrepreneurship. So they did not want me to do that in my life because they thought I was going astray. But I had a pitch with them, promised them that this is going to, be the next Facebook, be the next Uber, be the next Taxify starting from Lagos, Nigeria, right? And I gave them to give me 1 year or 2 years. If this doesn't work out, I'll go back to work, right? And in those few months, those few years, I put in all my energy. Probably put on small stipend. I was living with my sister. I wasn't I wasn't even on social media, so I didn't even have time to even. And at this time, my friends were working in the likes of Chevron, Baker Hills, and everything. But I was just laser focused because I kind of had a conviction that it was going to work, and that when somebody even asked me then that what would I do if this doesn't work, I'm like, it is going to work. So if bus doesn't work, we'll use bikes. If bike doesn't work, we'll use wheelbarrows. If we don't use wheelbarrows, we'll use something else. I was just laser focused, and I was determined that it was going to work. And right now, honestly, Shotlers is the business of my dreams. I might not talk, we might not see us, we might see us very soon. I might not know how I don't even know what to even say, but I'm just so grateful that um, those hours were not wasted. Those being laser focused wasn't a mistake, and it is now paying off.
Amazing. So we have two more questions, and I will just take those two questions before Joyce comes up and then introduces Odu, who is also in the studio. So one of the questions we have is, did you have to get co-founders who are in tech? Because I know you mentioned something about people saying that a technical co-founder. So how did that affect you? Did you then have to get a technical co-founder? And I'll ask the second question so you can answer both. Person says, how did you go about talking to people to start using the bus? Did you get stopped or harassed by Lagos State people since you're not using your own buses or customized buses?
Okay, great two questions. So the first question, um, for technical co-founder, that is very, 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 very important if you're trying to go into a tech-enabled service or a tech solution. But it doesn't mean that you cannot lead a tech company as a solo founder, as a non-tech co-founder. So I started with three co-founders. Busola, who was a guru, like my child. We grew up from primary school, went same secondary school, almost went to the same university, but she got scholarship to study abroad. So she was the CFO, and Damola Koju was the CTO then. But Damilola had to relocate back to the States because he just came briefly, and that so we didn't have a CTO, right? We tried, we had almost CTOs, right? We had great people in the industry where we almost had them as CTOs, and something happened, and they couldn't join us as a CTO. And we knew that if we don't get a CTO, I mean, I met Mike Sabo when Mike Sabo was in Nigeria. Mike Sabo had a discussion with me and said, "See, we've invested in a company like yours before. If you don't build a technology team, if you don't have a CTO, you can't join Y Combinator, right?" So I put all my energy into finding CTO, and guess what? We didn't find a CTO, right? And 3 years, 4 years down the lane, I did not care anymore. Like at the beginning of 2014, no 2017, I said I told myself I was going to learn how to code. So I started learning how to all the languages. What is JavaScript, what was Node.js, what is React, what is Flutter, all these things. I started reading up, trying to understand how coding works. And because I didn't want to, there wasn't enough time for me to understand coding and try to run a company, I just had the knowledge. I understood how to work with the technology team. So right now we have a full technology team on board, and we have consultants, right? And I understand what it means to have a back end or a front end or UI UX designer. If you have corrections to do, I know what exactly you're doing, because I know that is another story entirely. If you're trying to lead a technology team and you don't have technology background, it's a whole roller coaster on its own, trying to deal with tech guys, right? But like I said, if you determined in your mind that this business is going to succeed, it is going to succeed. So I had that determination that whatever it took, right, I'm going to understand this technology. I'm going to understand how transportation works. I'm going to understand how to run this business, and it did. Right. Moving to the second question, that how did we get customers at first? Since we didn't have, understanding how Lagos State was. Um, in my my early years in this startup, I made some friends, right? I made some friends. People, I did some research. I look at, okay, what, and some people here know Metro Taxi, right? This is it came before Taxify and Uber, but it failed. Why did it fail? Luckily for me, I had the guy, the founder then attended my church. Had a meeting. I got an introduction with him. Had a meeting and tried to understand why they failed, right? And he was even our first angel investor. He gave us two of his buses to try out to see if the model was going to work. It was even going to be our investor, but we turned him down because of the offer wasn't something that we wanted at that point in time. And then this is another point, that you don't have to make sure you get a very good lawyer. even if you cannot afford a lawyer, look for a tech lawyer that can help you, prevent you, especially for female founders, prevent you from signing bad deals, because before you know what's happening, you can lose your company, and all your efforts and your energy can just go down the drain. And so we understood what model to go about, to do, to implement. We understood that, okay, if and that is why we don't brand our bosses now. We have a competitor that currently brands their bosses, and I know that everybody knows Opay, right? Opay branded. I mean, they even called us when they were trying to launch their own boss, and I warned them, do not do X, Y, Z, and they went ahead and did, and they branded their buses and picking up people from the bus stops, and they got harassed by downfall drivers, by every single person. I mean, what helped us was just understanding from people that have 10, 15, 20 years experience from the industry. I also have one mentor called Mrs. Nike Birogba. She has a bus company that has been running in Lagos for over 20 years. Like, she started the company while I was in primary school, right? So it made us understand how to run the business profitably, without noise, without too much marketing budget, picking people from our route right now covers the whole of Lagos to VI, from all the mainland routes to VI, Yanopaja, Festac, Ikorodu, Yaba, Surulere, and the most shocking part of our model is that even with COVID-19, right? Because COVID-19 is meant to stop people from moving to work, and then it's supposed to affect our business, and then supposed to, stop what we are doing. But we still have a business. We still have a solution. We are still picking people up from the bus stops anonymously. But it's by sitting down, understanding a model critically, reaching out to mentors that have been in the industry way before you, trying to understand. And you might get some no's. It's right. It's fine. But there are people there who will now be your allies, that will hold your hand along the way, to making sure that you build that successful business. I think your mic is.
Amy,
okay.
Can you hear me? Yes, sorry.
Yes,
Thank you very
you
much for that. Like I said earlier, your story is really, really inspiring. It's good to know that you started Shortlast from ground up, and even without the hundreds of thousands and millions of investment, you have actually built something very solid, irrespective of how much people doubted what you guys were capable of doing, especially as women. So I'm really proud to see how far you guys have come, and I'm looking forward to more exciting news and progress from Shortlast team. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. Okay, next up, we have Odunayo Eweniyi. Odu is the co-founder and COO of Piggyvest. She previously co-founded pushcv.com, which is one of the largest job sites in Africa, with the largest database of pre-screened candidates. Odunayo was named one of Forbes 30 under 30 technology in 2019 and one of 30 Cost Africa innovators in 2019. She sits on the advisory board of Train Future, an education technology company based in Switzerland, as well as the Gender Lens Acceleration Best Practices Initiative, a collaborative effort of Village Capital, US and International Finance Corporation, Women Entrepreneurs Finance Initiative. Basically, Odu is for the women. She stands for us, and she's been doing a lot of great things that has, made us really proud of her as a whole. And she's really gone international with all she's doing, not just at Piggyvest, but even for women and for herself in general. Odun works to support the inclusion of women in technology by working with hubs and female-based networks, including For Creative Girls, Greenhouse Labs, She Leads Africa, and Etana. She is the co-founder of the women's community, Wine and Wine Nigeria. Hi, Odun. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're looking badass. I love the outfits. How are you
Thanks.
doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. So, Odun, you're going to be speaking with us today on how to identify brilliant business ideas.
I'm going to try my best here.
All right, the ground is yours. Please blow our
Right.
minds.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Sorry for the cap thing. It's my hair. Okay. So, how to identify brilliant business ideas. I Disclaimer, I don't think it's a science. I think that identifying business ideas is an art, and it's one that you can do over and over and over again, and you keep refining. A little backstory. I've been working in tech for 7 years. I'm currently the co-founder of Piggyvest. Before then, I'm still also co-founder of Push CV. Push CV is moderately successful. But outside of that, I was also co-founder of 5 businesses that have actually failed. So identifying business and brilliant business ideas means that you're going to have business ideas, and some of those are just going to crash and burn. And you just trying, you keep experimenting until you find one that sticks. I'm going to say that I have 7 points on that this topic. You hear me? Okay, great. Sorry, I thought my internet went off. All right, so the first thing I think that everyone needs to understand is that business ideas are all around us. And if you live in Nigeria, that's like quite literally true, because we have so many boundless problems that are looking for solutions that if you start to solve them, there's like a myriad of them, and all of them turn into problems, right? So business ideas come from a careful analysis of consumer trends, consumer needs, consumer wants, right? And so there's like, I think 7 different things I personally identified that can help you find an idea. A lot of people who are listening have probably heard me tell the story of how Piggyvest was born from a tweet, right? So I'm going to like weave that into like the story I'm trying to tell today. So the first thing when you're trying to identify a business idea is to examine your own skill set for business ideas, right? It's a very underrated thing that people don't do is, do you have a talent, right? Or do you have a track record that could be the background for a profitable business? And this requires a lot of self-awareness, because sometimes the answer is no. And you need to be able to tell yourself, okay, so this might be something I'm really good at, but does it have the potential to make money? Probably not. And sometimes, yes, right? You can look at it from the point of view of sometimes, there's people who are managers, right? And can actually turn that into creating, for instance, a remote assistant hub, right? I know a couple of people who've done that, right? So you need to look inwards. What is your talent? What is your track record? And can that be turned into a profitable business idea? Examining your own skill set for business ideas is the first thing that everyone who's trying to start a business needs to go through, right? What marketable skills do you possess? What marketable experience do you possess? And will people be willing to pay you for that skill or for that experience? If the answer is yes, you're well on your way to like crafting something that could become a successful business moving forward, right? What do you do that you do better than everyone else, right? Does that thing exist? And don't be afraid. Sometimes the answer is nothing, and that doesn't mean you cannot run a great business. It just means that you have to work a little harder than people who have those marketable skills or marketable experience at the moment, right? When I graduated, like I graduated with a degree in computer engineering. I was like a very mid coder, and my skill at the time was writing, right? So what did I do? Started to like freelance, right? People are not going to pay me for my computer engineering skills, at least not yet, but they're going to pay me to write. So how about we do that? So what marketable skills do you possess? What marketable experience do you possess? Will people be willing to pay for that, right? That's the first thing. So my first point, again, to reiterate, is examine your own skill set for possible business ideas, right? And number two, keep up with current events and current trends and be ready to take advantage of business opportunities. I mean, this is not particularly a business opportunity, but can you all remember during COVID when masks and hand sanitizers and those horrible face shields became an actual trend? I know people who cashed out from selling that and not even at prohibitive prices, just because they figured, like, yeah, you know, with the way this disease is going, people are going to need this. And they started to like retail it to their friends, retail it to corporates, and help people brand it and things like that. That's kind of how you need to look at it. Keep up with, I mean, that's a particularly morbid example. I'm really sorry. But you get the point. Keep up with current trends and keep up with current events. Now, for instance, imagine if my co-founder wasn't on Twitter that night when the lady broke the wooden box and went viral. There would be no Piggyvest, right? So you have to stay plugged in, especially when you're creating products for the millennial generation who lives on the internet. You need to be there, plugged in, right? Ready to jump on the trend. I mean, you know, not in the negative way, but like ready to understand that where is this going? Like, for instance, look at the current trend of financial services, right? What's happening? If you look very closely, you see that companies are breaking banking and financial services into tiny parts, right? What's stopping you from taking a small part of financial services and working on that, right? In my notes here, I have it like, if you watch the news regularly with the conscious intent of coming up with a business idea, you'll be amazed at how many business opportunities your brain can make up just from watching current events, right? You will be able to identify market trends, new fads, industry news, trends generally, and sometimes just ideas that have like boundless possibilities, right? You can just look, for instance, as at the time when we started 500 dishes, that's on Twitter again. I'm a really huge Twitter user. Like I spend 25% of my day on that. Like when we started 500 dishes, because we looked on the internet and realized that people were getting open to the notion of someone cooking somewhere else and delivering it to them. Now, 500 dishes did end up failing, but that business ran for a year, had 2 successful food festivals, and made several lists of top startups to watch out for and things like that. Do you get? So you have to be like there, you have to be plugged in, and you have to be extremely self-aware. Like, where is this headed? Where is this going? Where am I going with this? Do you get? Like, it's again, it's not a science, it's not a precise science. It's really experimenting repeatedly and repeatedly. But market trends are the best way to plug into business opportunities. You know, for instance, look at there's this trend in Canada, right? Like at the moment that same-sex marriages became legal in Canada, there was a very small travel agency that started to sell tourist packages and targeted it directly towards same-sex couples. They went from booking about 100 tours in a year to now, as of today, doing 3,500 for that one thing, right? So expand that in Nigeria, for instance, right? You see how, okay, now let me bring it home. Early this year, PENCOM signed like a bill into law that says that people can now begin to pay micro pensions, and that pensions no longer by force have to be paid by your employers. So that means that self-employed people can now start saving their own 100 naira a day, 500 naira a week towards their own retirement pension without having a formal job, right? Micro pensions, that's a business idea. Like, do you get? Financial services have not yet looked there, but they'll get there. Another thing is looking at like the financial, and I'm sorry, I'm really into financial services because that's where I work. It's like looking at insurance, for instance. Did you guys know that only 2% of Nigerians had any form of insurance, like at all? So how about you look into that, figure out why, and how can I make more people get pensions, right? Those are some of the ways for you to look at current events and take advantage of those business opportunities that are presented there, right? If you guys have questions, I imagine that you can just put them in the comments or somewhere. But like that's what I'm trying to say is that current events are some of the best ways to get business ideas that actually take off almost immediately. So I've said examine your own skill set for potential business ideas, keep up with current events, and be ready to take advantage of business opportunities. The third thing, invent a new product or service, right? And this is not difficult at all. The key to coming up with a new idea for a product or a service is to identify a market need that's not been met, right? Pensions exist, right? Micro pensions don't. Whether anybody agrees with you or not, that's an invention, right? Like when Piggyvest launched in 2016, if you guys remember, and if my memory serves me correctly, at the time, the minimum you could use to invest in treasury bills was 100,000 naira, right? That means that all young people were cut off, especially because you guys know that like our salaries are between 70 to 100K entry level. So that means that essentially what those institutions were telling young people was you can't invest except you're investing your entire month's salary, right? So we came out and said that we have investment opportunities on our platform that you can invest in with 5,000 naira. And all of a sudden, there's now 5,000 naira ticket size investments everywhere. I know nobody's going to give me credit, and I'm not even mad at it, but like that's an invention of it's a new service right there, right? Meeting a business need for a particularly underserved but large section of the population, and creating that service for them in ways that they can begin to benefit from immediately, right? Right now, look at like I don't like this guy, but he's a really good example of a service a need that was not being met. Mark Zuckerberg. In 2004, Mark recognized the need for a campus-wide social networking website, right, that would allow students and staff to share personal information, develop Facebook, and you guys know the rest of the story, right? And another thing to think about is when like people started building mobile phones, some people must have thought, wait, mobile phones would need mini versions of websites and started to think of apps. And that's how you got app developers. So inventing new products or service isn't that you sit down and become like a Thomas Edison and like invent an actual thing. It could just be a new direction for something to go, right? Uber invented a new service, right? People were taking cabs all the time. But Travis decided that you should be able to tap on your phone and get a car to come pick you, right? And why did they do that? They had a problem stopping a cab in France or something and invented Uber. So look around and ask yourself, how can this situation be improved, right? How can this product be improved? What can I layer on top of this product to make a new product that serves a larger group of people? You know, ask people about the like additional services they'd like to see. Focus on a particular target market. Like all of my successes and failures are for the market between the ages of 18 to 34, right? Everything that we do in Sharp Hire and Piggy Tech is targeted towards millennials and the younger generation. Focus on that target market and think, how can I begin to improve their life? What product or service would they be interested in, right? There are millions of like services that you can begin to provide. So find a niche market and exploit it. You will see that you create just like amazing new products and amazing new services. And like, what's the one I was thinking about, for instance? This one, someone should totally like bottom line do it, is there's accelerators for everything, right? But there's no accelerator yet for businesses that are not technical, that are not startups. Why can't we accelerate the businesses for people who are small business owners, right? And I've been thinking about how to do it, but I really have a lot of work, and I've been discussing it with my friends. But if someone were to do it, I'll totally support. Is people who sell like without being technical, their businesses can be accelerated, and in a lot of cases, they are cleaning now. They are making bank even better than startups are, and they can like go from cleaning out like in the hundreds of thousands to cleaning out in the millions just by adding very small tech-enabled things like their books, and a small front shop website that calculates the money and calculates inventory and things like that. I always advocate for meeting people at their point of need. And if anyone were to sit down and examine what people who sell on Instagram and people who sell on Twitter and people who sell offline, what is their point of need, create something around that, and then take it back to them, that would be a completely new service or product that no one has ever created before. Right? So things like that are how you have to think about it. Invent a new product or service. Now, number 4, add value to an existing product. Now, this one everyone knows, right? Like, you can layer on your service onto something. And this is how a lot of fintech companies in Nigeria right now are just layered on top of APIs and create new service from there, right? So why not you? Why can't you do the same thing, right? You can. There's like, now look at this new company, AutoCheck. AutoCheck is doing like they're trying to revolutionize the used car market. They just raised $3.4 million in seed funding. What they've done is combine an element of fintech lending and then layered on fixing the used car market in Nigeria on top of that. So lending already exists. Lending for the used car market, not so much. Right? So they've combined two things. Probably are going to use a loan company's API and begin to fix that. Right? So invent, or improve an existing one, add value to an existing product. Right? What's an example I can use for this is, right now, I'm going to use one that I don't know if it's Nigerian or not, but for instance, look at a local farm that sells, like, they sell produce, right? And they also sell vegetables. But vegetables, one thing about like young people is young people hate going to the market. At least I know I hate going to the market, right? And so I get all of my groceries delivered to me from supermarket. Now, supermarket has now gone a step further, right? And are now bringing fresh vegetables to my house on demand. Why would I stop using them? I can get fresh meat like from a tap on the finger. Like, so the butcheries have always existed, right? The vegetable market has always existed. Supermart as a grocery delivery service has always existed. What they decided to do was complement both products. And now there's a whole new line for people who hate going to the market. And we're many, So if you look at your target market, see how you can improve their life, see how you can add value to their life, figure and focus on that niche, there's no way that you're going to that you're not going to have a new like business idea. Number 5, I think I'm wasting a lot of time. Investigate other markets, right? All of us are focused on Nigeria, but like there's a market in Ghana, there's a market in French-speaking Africa, there's a market in East Africa, like so much untapped potential across the continent, right? And you can look at financial services and how they're expanding. Naturally, you'll expect a Nigerian company to expand into Ghana immediately, or Benin Republic, or some such place. But Paga went to Mexico. Mines, now Migo, went to the Philippines. Why? They investigated new markets and figured out that this place might actually be a better field of germination than the one that's nearer home. And I'm sure that their research and operations teams have like millions and thousands of reasons why they didn't just go to Ghana or they didn't just go to Kenya. They investigated the new market and realized some business ideas are not suited to local consumption, but appeal to a foreign market. Which one is your own market, right? As an entrepreneur, you need to be adaptable, you need to be flexible. So you might have a business idea and Nigeria just might not be the best place for it. Find out about other cultures, investigate their market opportunities, and you'll find out that that's an excellent way to find a new business idea. Right. Improve an existing product or service. This is basically the same as adding value to an existing product, right? There are very few businesses or services that cannot be improved. I can tell you that, right? So look at the products and services you use, brainstorm on how they can be better and make them better. There's nothing that you cannot make money from. And then number 7 is get on the bandwagon. And people always feel some kind of way about jumping on the bandwagon, or jumping on a trend. And I think that that's a shame, because there's nothing how crypto is suddenly booming. If you found a unique cryptocurrency business idea, there is no reason not to pursue it. You hear people saying fintech is like really like crowded, it's choked up, too many people have started ideas in this line. But who said so? Like, who said that? Like, why can't you launch your own next? If anybody who thinks it's crowded can stay out of it, but why should you? Especially if you think that your idea solves a pain, right? That's another thing to consider. Your solution needs to be solving a need, a pain. There's something called in startup called vitamin versus painkiller. Vitamin means you're solving a want and your product is nice to have. Painkiller means you're solving a need and a pain. Is your product solving a pain? Right? Are people going to be that much better with the existence of your product? Right? I always say that the way to measure like whether your product is a painkiller is it saving people money? Is it saving them resources? And is it saving them time? 2 out of 3, and you will have a painkiller on your hands. So it's like financial inclusion. You can't like just hand over bank accounts to the poor and say like, yeah, get bank accounts. Money, resources, energy, time. If you're not going to save them that, then there's no point, right? So that's how you kind of have to look at like your product. When you look around, you've already looked at your skill set. You've already like found a new product that you might be able to, or you've added value to an existing product, or you're improving upon one, or you are deciding to jump on a current trend, or you're deciding to get on a bandwagon of existing product ideas. The product that you're coming up with, the business idea that you're coming up with has to be a painkiller. If not, painkillers, any other thing is just a lifestyle product. And to be clear, a bandwagon effect is created by larger social trends, exactly like this, cryptocurrency thing. It was one day people were looking like, what is Bitcoin? And all of a sudden, Bitcoin is $18,600. And now there's so many people trying to invest for it. And in Nigeria, locally, when you localize it, you realize that there is no better time. There is no better time to be selling cryptocurrency to Nigerians than right now, based on everything that's going on. So at every point in time, there is like an insatiable demand for something. Like during this COVID thing, there's an insatiable demand for face masks in several companies. Many entrepreneurs capitalize on demand. Someone in this session actually said that they cashed out on face masks, right? So there's going to be a booming demand for something that is being supplied, and you can jump on there and join the suppliers, right? So look at the existing businesses and the products and services they offer, determine if there's a need for more, and develop the business ideas to fit it, right? So last set, maybe write your ideas down. I think that this is a really great way to make sure that like you have a finger on the things that you want to execute. Think about them, keep an open mind, and keep assessing everything you read and hear from an entrepreneurial point of view. If you want to start a business, everything is a potential business idea. Do you get? If you want to start a business, everything is a potential business idea. What you then need to do is swirl it around in your head, think about it, assess it properly, ask for advice, but keep all of them in your head and keep thinking about them because you never know. And be honest, you don't want to run with the first business idea you think of. You want to discover the idea that's best suited to you, to your skill sets, dream, think, plan. My dad used to say, aim very high, work very hard, care very deeply. And I think those 3 things always lead you to an idea that's not just great for you, but great for the community around you. And you'll be ready to transform your business idea into the business you've always wanted. Thank you so much. I'll take questions.
Thank you so much, Odu. That was a really powerful session. Thank you for the points that you made. I will just reiterate some of the points that you made. You said examine your skill set, be self-aware. 2, you said keep up with current trends and events and take advantage of them. You said invent a new product or service, add value to an existing product or service. Number 5 says investigate other markets. Number 6 says improve an existing product or service. I really like that one because I could resonate with it. Number 7 said get on the bandwagon as well as others. Thank you very much. We have a few questions. One of them says, At what point did you realize that it was time to move on to start up Piggyvest after Push CV?
No, we actually did both of them in tandem. We didn't really move on. We just kind of, yeah. So we were weird and different in that way, as we just like did many things at the same time. So Push CV was about 2 years old when we started Piggyvest, while still running both of them, and it was about 9 months into running Piggyvest that we realized that there was something there, there was something special there, and then handed over Push CV to another team. So it's not like we just like, okay,
Okay.
we're putting Push CV aside, moving on to Piggyvest right now. No, we did every business that we did, including the ones that failed, were all done like at the same time. So we did not drop one for one.
Okay.
We'll figure out like, okay, also this is working, there's something special here, then we move to this. So Piggyvest, it took 9 months to figure out like this is different than anything that we've ever done, and so we're going to focus on this moving forward. And great decision, I suppose.
Thank you very much. There's another question that says, how do you get pushbacks from investors around the fact that you are involved in two startups or a lot of things at the same time?
Well, no, I don't get pushback from my investors, and I think that as investors are very different. It really depends on the
Okay.
relationship and your track record, right? So I think that we already had a track record for being able to run more than one at the same time, which was nice. And then the investor, our first investor, Mr. Olumide, he is still our investor till now. So he kind of knows that like we're very, very much about the product. So he was okay. And then after a while, to be honest, we kind of focused on Piggyvest all by ourselves. We took that decision all by ourselves. So no pushback from them based on the relationship and the track record. So I suppose the advice here would be get investors that you have mutual respect with and a mutual likeness for each other, and also know that your track record is really, really important.
The last question says, has it ever happened to you that when you have an idea, but you feel like if you share it with someone or some persons, they will steal it? What do you do about that?
I don't think I don't hide the thing. I tell my friends everything. So I just tell them I don't care what you do with it, because I think that the difference is in execution, right? So the way I would execute a business is different than the way you'd execute it. And also, if you don't share ideas, you never know how to improve them. So I mean, I suppose it's a risk that I'm willing to take when it comes to sharing business ideas. And I tell people many things all the time. I'm sure I even said many things in this particular session. And I think that it's great when like a lot of people are solving a particular problem. Execution matters. As you can see, there is so many businesses that do what Piggyvest does, but again, what differentiates us would be some features and then the execution, how you run it, how you create it. And like the results always show the difference. So don't worry about stealing ideas.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we have one last question. It says, what are the best ways to reach out to angel investors to get them to invest?
Oof, you know, angel investors in Nigeria are weird, but like there is Africa Angel Network. And there's also the very reliable, like just DMing people who have angel investors in their Twitter bio. That doesn't always end well, but it is what it is regarding angel investing. Unfortunately, investing in Nigeria still means that you need to know someone who knows someone who can then make the intro. But it is getting better. Funds are getting decentralized and delocalized in ways that are like better for the ecosystem. But right now, reach out to like accelerators are a great way to like connect to investors, and then like Twitter is a great way to also speak with them as well. The great thing about the internet is that you can just go under someone's tweet and very politely ask them to listen to you, very, very politely. People do it on Twitter, but they don't do it very politely, and that's the difference. So like there is angel investors like Idris Bello, Mr. Lumide, who would absolutely listen to your idea immediately. So yeah. Yeah.
Anything in the last words you have for us?
Right. Words. I think I gave the words, and this is usually I like to end with that. But there is one question I think I do want to answer is how do you keep going? Because I started some businesses that failed and it's just stressful. Um, this one I can relate with. I'll tell you a very short story very quickly because I know they're going to kick me off soon. Is like in 2015, right? A week before we got the idea for Piggyvest, we were at our lowest point in Push CV, right? We'd lost all our money and we're literally down to the last 2 million, right? Money just wasn't coming in as fast as it was going out. And at that moment, I was so sure that I was just going to go home and tell my parents, like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to start looking for a job. But the important thing is that while I was talking to my dad, and every time since I've been growing up, and maybe the person who asked this question is familiar with my dad, is that my dad used to say this thing to me: no one is coming, right? You're going to have to save yourself, right? And my dad, like, is a fountain of incredibly good advice. And I realized that there is a problem that we've identified is that millennials, in so many ways and so many forms, are undersatisfied, under-recognized, and just under just about everything else. And so we couldn't give up. If you've identified a problem and that problem still subsists, you're going to have to try to solve it in as many ways as possible. So what did we do? In Push CV, we dusted off. We realized that next year was going to be difficult. We had no money, but we were going to continue anyway. And I called my dad eventually and he said, Odunayo, aim very high, work very hard, care very deeply. When it's time to call it off, you will know it's time to call it off. But before then, you keep working. And what happens a week after that? We see the tweet for Piggy that inspires Piggyvest, and we launched Piggyvest. And truth be told, 2016 was a difficult year. Push CV was struggling to get back up. Piggyvest made $0 in revenue, but we realized that there was something special, and we needed to keep going. Find your why, and let your why keep motivating you. Your why. Who are you and why are you doing this? Find your why, right? That's how to keep going. That's how to keep going. And it's really difficult. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. Like running out of money, staring down failure in the face, knowing when to shut down a startup. These are all things I've been through. And it's really difficult to keep going, but your why. I do this because I think that my generation deserves better. I do this because I think that the generation that's coming after us don't need to have the problems that we've had. That's why I continue. So find your why.
Thank you very much, Odun. That was a really, really, really nice session. Thank you for all of the tips that you gave us. Thank you for the secrets that you shared as well. We're really grateful.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys. Thanks.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that session, and not just enjoyed it, I hope you got a lot of really helpful tips. I did, that I'm definitely going to be putting into works. So without wasting much time, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Her name is Bolanle Olukanni. Bolanle is a TV host, producer, and entrepreneur. She's currently a TV host on Ndani TV. And in case you don't know, Bolanle landed her first TV job as a co-host on Moments with Mo, alongside talk show host and CEO of Ebony Live TV, Mo Abudu. As an entrepreneur, Bolanle is currently the co-founder of Wash and Go, a Lagos-based healthy hair salon, as well as the founder of God's Wives Foundation, an NGO that advocates and empowers widows and single mothers through skill acquisition centers. Bolanle says it a lot that she likes to make money even better when people around her are also making money. So she's going to be sharing what she has learned about the power of partnership in business and entrepreneurship and how to build a successful one. Hi, Bolanle. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, how's it going?
How you doing?
I'm good.
You're looking great.
If you see any look on my face, it is because I am an entrepreneur, and I literally just had to quench some fire.
Wow.
So yeah, Peace was just trying to call me, and my line was engaged because I was quenching fire that someone was trying to raise. Hold on, let me adjust myself so that you can see my scattered room. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here. It means a lot to me, so thank you so much.
Awesome. So real quick, could you please tell us what you do? You know, a lot of people know you as a TV host and a producer, but they really do not know, you know, what your entrepreneurship skill sets are and what businesses you have built. Could you please just give us a summary of that?
Sure. So I'm going to tell you the name of one directly, and then the other one I'm a silent partner in, so I'm not going to mention the name. But I run two businesses, and it has been a really interesting journey. Of course, as they mentioned, I'm a TV presenter. I work in the media. I'm a producer and a documentary filmmaker, and I absolutely love creating content. I love it, love it, love it. And it got to a point where I realized that, you know, you say when you find a problem, which is what Odunayo had mentioned about meeting a need, and when you see a problem, go ahead and solve it. And every time you talk to any entrepreneur, you will realize that that is usually how they started. Myself and my business partner for Wash and Go, which is a healthy hair salon where we provide simple services. We're having a conversation one day, funny enough, after I had finished interviewing her for The Juice on Indani TV. And we were just having lunch after the interview. And we're just talking about how, like, I'm like, I hate going to the salon. I'm so over it. I don't like going to the salon. I'm tired of it. And then, you know, she now said that she doesn't like going to the salon either because she's natural. And I'm, yes, then I was permed and I'm permed and I'm a wig wearer. You know, I usually wear ponies. I wear my hair out sometimes, but I usually wear a wig. And I was like, I just want to go into a salon, come out and leave. That's all I want to do. And basically, she wanted to go to a salon where they really cared about her hair as a naturalista, and they were going to take time to really take care of her hair. So we decided to create something that meets that need, something where we're all about convenience and time, and we're all about making sure that, you know, everything is straight to the point, and also customer service is really, really good. And we just had a customer service issue, which is why I was like, you know, trying to quench fire, because a lot of times, of course, with your business, you want to be able to not have to be there all the time, but they're going to be, and you'll train someone that will be able to be there, but there are going to be little gaps here and there, and you need to make sure that you put everyone back in check. So I just finished putting one of our staff back in check. So yeah, that's kind of like a synopsis of, you know, how everything started. And my other business is it's a retail line, and I do all the business development and marketing for it. So my skill set is not in the creative when it comes to that industry, but my skill set is knowing how to do marketing and business development for it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So you're speaking on the power of partnership in business. So what do you think, or what would you consider to be business partnership in your words and in your experience so far? Bolanle, can you hear me? I think she's having internet problems.
Hello.
So we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Hi, sorry. I'm trying to choose between Wi-Fi and data, and both of them are just falling my hand, left, right, and center, honestly. So a business partnership is a marriage. That's truly what it is. My business partnership, like I mentioned, I have two. One is with a woman, Zainab Balogu, and the other one is with a guy. And the honest truth about it is, I realize that it is a marriage, you guys. When you have a business partner is someone that you have to ensure that every single decision you make about this business with this person, you guys have to have a conversation about it. You know, when Zainab and I first started Wash and Go, we had hours and countless of hours of meetings because we had to make sure that we were on the same track. We had to make sure that we had the same vision, and we had to make sure that we had the same values. Now, when I think about that, I think about how much that reflects, you know, in terms of what people would consider as when you're going to get married. You need to make sure that you're on the same track. You need to make sure that you have the same values, and you need to make sure that you have the same vision. And honestly, it's the kind of thing where you can't just go ahead and do whatever it is that you want. Every single thing that you decide about the business, most likely you will have to have a conversation about it. Secondly, a business partnership is a division of labor. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. Can you guys still hear me? Because Siri is telling me
Yes,
that
we
it's having a
can.
problem with my connection. Can you guys still hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. So at any time you can't hear me, I'm just gonna help me just put in the chat box piece if you can't hear me, and I'll see that. And the thing about a business partnership is it ensures that you are collaborating with someone. It depends on the type of business partnership you have as well. Myself and Zainab have a business partnership that's very equal, and my other business partnership, I contribute a certain percentage of information and knowledge to it, so my responsibilities are not as heavy, and because of that, my stake in the company reflects that. In addition to that, you can also have a silent business partnership. So that would be more of an investment, though. A business partnership, in my opinion, is a place where everybody is contributing to the daily operations or the bi-daily operations or the monthly operations of what happens in the business. A business partnership is not an investor. There are some investors that are more hands-on, but most likely the type of business partnership that you would be considering or interested in is one where you can share the burden of running the business. And those are the best type of business partnerships to have, because running a business in Nigeria is not for children.
Oh, very much for that. So, so in your opinion, do you think that partnerships aid growth?
Do I think that partnerships are good, you said?
No. Do you think partnerships aid business growth?
I think so. So let me tell you guys, it took Zainab and I 6 months from the day of inception to open Wash and Go. Physical store with staff, doing interior design, training staff, creating product lines. It took us 6 months. There's no way that we would have been able to, I believe anyone would have been able to do that in terms of actually opening a salon. And if you've been to our salon, you'll see, how much thought we put in behind everything, and also how well trained our staff are generally overall. It's just one of the best things, because there's some days where I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I've had it, and there's someone that can carry the burden. And when you're doing it alone, those days you're tired, you're exhausted, you've had it, you are the one that will carry the burden alone. You have to go and sleep, and the business is not going to move while you're sleeping, while you're resting. Secondly, it helps in terms of thinking through and decision making. We have conversations all the time where we're trying to problem solve this one, or we're trying to problem solve that, and we're able to have conversations about it. And it's someone that will have a conversation with you that actually cares. Sometimes you can go and talk to a friend and get their advice, but if they don't have a stake in it, the advice they give you, it might not be as, well thought out. Whereas if it's someone that, oh boy, my money entered this place, so let's talk about this thing together, you guys will be able to make good decisions together and think through challenging moments. I'll never forget, we had an opening day for August 19th, and that's my birthday. And we weren't able to meet our deadline because we were having issues with our sinks. Our sinks are custom made and they're all in one station. So it means that once a client sits down, they don't have to stand up. And we were really disappointed because we realized that we weren't going to be able to open on August 19th. And we just sat there. And I will never forget, we both sat there. This was like maybe 8 p.m. at night. And we were like, what do? None of us knew what to do. We just kind of sat there. Just went home, both of us feeling really dejected. We were exhausted because we did a lot of the interior design, in terms of getting the supplies ourselves. So we were really tired going to the market, sourcing for this, sourcing for that. It's very time consuming. And I remember the next day, maybe I or she just kind of still feeling out of it, but one of us would keep saying, yo, we got to get this engine back going. If you're alone, who is motivating you when you're tired? If we're going to use Ecclesiastes, a threefold cord is better than two, right? Again, like I said, it's a marriage. When there are two people racing towards somewhere, doing something together, when someone is tired, the other person will say, yo, let's go, we got this. In the same vein, my other business, the skill set that I bring to that is marketing and branding. And that business has been able to grow in ways that I don't think it would have ever grown if not for my skills. In the same vein, I am not a creative. I don't have conceptualizing in terms of creating product. My business partner is the one that does that. So I'll say to him, yo, we need new product. Oh, he'll go back to the drawing board, make a new product. And then I'll say, okay, this is how we're going to market it. So when there are two people with two different skill sets, you can tackle way more ground and way more land because it's not one person running towards the goal. I know my strong points. My strong suits are go. I'm good at marketing. I'm good at driving. I'm also very, very good at bulldozing through things. And I'm also very tunnel vision. Whereas Zainab is very OCD. She's very like dot all the little dotted lines. She's very, very detailed. She's very meticulous. So she was able to do a lot of, the systems and structures. I'm not a systems and structures person. So you see what I'm saying, where I'm also very, okay, how can we upsell? I'm very like strong when it comes to marketing, as I said. So those are the skill sets that I bring. It would be a shame if when I'm running this business by myself and I don't know how to do structures and I don't know how to do, I'm struggling with accounting. I mean, we have an accountant, but you still have to know a little bit of accounting yourself and create systems and structures so you can really be detailed about the income that's coming in. Zainab is the one that did all of that. Now, the thing about it is you will have business partnerships where you play different roles. In my other business, because of my partner is actually less OCD than I am, I find that I'm a bit more of the detailed one in that business relationship. So I have the marketing hat, but I'm also the one that's kind of like, make sure that we're under budget, make sure that we're focused, make sure that we're hitting targets. So, you kind of do have to adjust based on the kind of business partner that you have in different businesses.
Thank you very much for that. So are there downsides to partnerships in business? Do you ever experience downsides to partnerships basically in both businesses that you run now?
Of course. Oh boy. If you don't fight with your business partner, do you have a business partner? Definitely. Again, like I said, if you want to, I really do feel like in so many ways it's a good thing because it's taught me how to share. And I feel like, whenever I get married, my partner will be very lucky because I've experienced what it means to share in so many different ways where I don't just make decisions by myself. The hardest part about being in a partnership is that you cannot make a decision by yourself. And you have to make sure that you're considering the other person. Then there's a place where sometimes you guys can't agree. So what happens? You toss a coin. Whatever it is that you want to use to break the decision and make sure that a decision is made, you sometimes can toss a coin if you guys are at a stalemate. But I think the hardest part is not being able to do whatever you want to do. And I know for someone like myself and for so many of us that just have gotten to this point where in lives we are in control of our lives, we make our own decisions, we do whatever we want. When you're in a business partnership, you can't. Number two, you need to make sure that you are in a place where you guys have aligning visions. You might not have similar personalities. You don't even have to be friends. And I mean that. You do not have to be friends. My other business partner, who's a guy, he and I are not friends. Like, we don't hang out. We get along. We do business together. And that's it. So I think the biggest downside is just the fact that you can't be in control and do whatever you want. That's what I would say is kind of the downside.
Okay, thank you very much. So in your experience, how do you resolve conflicts in partnerships?
So I'm two things. I can be quite confrontational, but I'm also very diplomatic as well. It depends on what I'm feeling like. I find that it depends on the type of person you have a business relationship with, but I would say there is a rule where we have the toss the coin one. So if there's a decision that we need to make and that decision is not being made, both of us are not seeing eye to eye, then you probably will have to toss a coin. Heads equals my decision, tail equals his decision or her decision. The other thing is you really just need to know yourself and you need to be able to talk through problems and be able to talk through, situations and issues that you're dealing with, because if you don't respect the person, then you're not going to be able to be successful. And because I respect both of my business partners, one of my male business partner is much younger than me. And I find that because he's younger, he has different priorities in life and what he wants to do with, the business and also the income we make and stuff like that. So I'm kind of more of a leader in that business structure, where I would say with myself and Zainab, it's quite equal in terms of the way we make a decision because we have very similar values. So I've learned how being in a business relationship with people who have one, I have very similar values with some other person, and the other one I'm kind of coaching and guiding the person to have better values. How difficult that can be, because my other business has been much more difficult to move forward because we're just very different people. But there's so much potential in my business partner and in the business that we keep ensuring that, we don't break apart.
Thank you very much for that. My last question. In general, would you say a partnership over solopreneurship, or they both? What would you say basically? What would you say?
Yeah, so I'm biased because of all my successful businesses have been partnerships. I'm all for it. I love making fam. If even like short-term businesses, if I see like a project and I'm like, yo, if I link up with this person for like just this project, and myself and this person are able to just make a cool few cash really quick, cool. Because I find that again, when there are two people pushing towards something, the goal happens faster. And I like that idea of making sure that I'm achieving whatever it is I want to, even if it means I have to share the money. Because again, like I say, it's better to own 1% of 2 billion than to own 1%, to own 100% of 1 million, which is why I feel like people need to see the value in partnerships. We can be very nervous about that in Nigeria because the trust levels are very low. That's why you need to use your own discernment and wisdom when it comes to knowing who you're going to enter a business with and get into bed with. And that's something that only you can decide. If you're a spiritual person, I would say pray about it. And even if you're not a spiritual person, your intuition is strong. As women, we have this gut feeling. If you're not feeling comfortable about going into business with someone, do not do it. It is very painful and it will bite you in the booty. So I would definitely say that it's very important that before you enter any business with someone, you use your wisdom, because I've heard of really bad stories where people are emotionally scarred from it. Again, because like I said, it's a marriage. It can be a very painful process when it doesn't work out.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you please emphasize the importance of trust in partnerships? Because we have seen partnerships that have gone south. So what role does trust play, and how do you even solidify this trust between business partners?
So that's huge. I mean, again, my situation is because of the type of person I am, and also because of, for example, I'll use my case with Zainab. We're both people of integrity, and right and wrong is very important to us. So that one is not really an issue. When it comes to the other situation, for example, with my male business partner, we have very different value systems, and he's younger. So we have checks and balances to make sure that everyone is accountable. And also if there are situations where I don't feel like I'm trusting him, I let him know. I say, yo, I'm not feeling like I'm trusting you. But I think more importantly, when someone sees the value that you bring into a business, they won't do you anyhow. Like, they won't do you while you. It's when people don't see the value that you bring that a lot of times there can be greed. And again, if you do not have the same value system as someone, please don't enter a long-term business with them. I understand going into a short-term business with someone that is just to make a few quick, let's just hammer make this deal. Do you understand? That one is different because you're in and out. But if you enter it and the person is untrustworthy, enter with your eyes wide open. You need to know that you're entering a relationship with someone that's untrustworthy. Most likely, it means that they might skim off a little bit of money. Maybe if they're the ones in control of knowing how much revenue is coming, that. So you don't go in like, oh my gosh, this person betrayed me. No, know who someone is, believe them on who they are. Don't try and change them, and accept that. So that is something that can be seen from the very beginning. People don't hide who they are, right? Like, you don't hide who you are. People are very true to who they are if you really spend time to pay attention to the kind of energy that they're bringing out. I believe that if you spend time and you ask people questions, you will know what values are important to them. Even if it's in little conversations that they've made. If they've made jokes about how, that my boss, oh boy, I tell them, say this thing na 200 naira, but instead it was only 50 naira. Okay, if they did that to their boss, they're going to do it to you. That's the way I think about stuff. So in the same vein, I'm always listening to little commentary that the people around me are making. So I'll be able to know if this is someone that I can trust or if I can't trust them. If you can enter business with someone you can't trust, cool. Just know that you're entering business with someone that you cannot trust. If they now take money from the business, remember, you already knew you couldn't trust them.
Thank you very much for that emphasis. And we have one last question. It says, with partnership, there's less profit for just you, Sha. What do you do when your partner doesn't contribute as much and you want her to leave the business, but there's the problem of business rights?
So you have different options. Again, you ask yourself, A, what was the agreement when you guys first started the business? Were roles clearly defined when you first started the business? Before you enter a business partnership, you must define the roles clearly. If the person is not doing their part, then you call them to account. You say you're not doing your part, hence why the business is not moving forward. So before you sign anything, you make any agreement, everybody needs to agree to what their roles are. As you go along, you go back to the drawing board. You keep going back to the drawing board, right? There was a time where I wasn't carrying my own end of the bargain with my other business partner who's a male, because I was really struggling with so many of the other things I was carrying. And he called me to account. He said, how far, madam, the things that you're supposed to do, you're not doing them. And I had to sit up. I had to make sure that I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. If you finally have had a conversation and the person is still not moving, then you go ahead and you separate and you cut your losses. But don't say that. Again, I cannot emphasize, the idea of sharing money is not a bad thing. If you're with someone who is good and someone who knows how to be disciplined and committed to their responsibilities, it is going to be better for the business. Do you know why? Because you're not going to be, when you pay someone to do something for you, the investment is not the same versus when someone owns a stake in something. They will carry that matter on their head. And the way you're paying for that is by equity. You find that a lot of times, a lot of business models, even with brand ambassadorships, instead of giving, celebs cash, they're giving them equity. Or if, for example, in movies, I'll give you a perfect example. They call it back end. So for example, if an actor, really maybe a popular actor, they know they can bring a lot of, clout to the movie. Instead of paying the actor their normal acting fee, they'll give them equity in the movie. So basically from ticket sales, they'll give them a percentage of that. The actor will carry that movie on their head. It is the same thing with a business, which is why I really hope that there are going to be more and more business partnerships in the future. Because in my opinion, there are way too many people running the same type of single businesses when they could be collaborating and more people could be making money. So that's kind of my take on it.
Thank you very much. We have one last question. It says, do you have a signed agreement between you and your partner? Or if you feel you trust the person, there's no need for an agreement?
Hell yeah. Heck yeah. Signed, dotted, on the line, every single thing. Do not enter any business partnership that is not signed. Me and Zainab, close friends, we get along, we love each other, we have a contract, we have an agreement. Same thing with my other business. Everything is signed, written on a piece of paper, because life happens and you want to make sure that you protect yourself.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for your session, Bolanle. There's really a lot to learn, especially because as so many people know, Peace and I, we've been business partners for almost 5 years. Yeah. And it's been one of the most amazing parts of my journey as an entrepreneur. Thank you very much for all of the information that you have given us and shared with us. And ladies, please, Bolanle co-owns the Wash and Go, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Wash and Go salon. Please patronize her business. She shared lots of information with us. If you're a natural hair person, Wash and Go is going to do really good to your hair. I've been there before and I can attest to that. So thank you very much, Bolanle, and have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Peace.
Okay, so it's time for our final session. I would kick you out now and introduce Tosin. This has been an amazing 3 sessions so far, from Damilola to Odu and then to Bolanle. It's been really amazing. And I see that a lot of us here have stayed to the end. So thank you so much for staying to the end. We kept this session to the end, especially because Tosin is going to come and literally blow our minds. I'll just introduce her now. and she will come up and talk about how to stand out in your field. So regardless of the industry you want to play in, the sector you want to play in, the kind of business that you want to build, how do you build it in such a way that that brand stands out from everybody else? How do you make sure that your business is the one that people think about when they're thinking about that industry or people that solve that particular problem? Tosin is going to talk about all those things, but let me introduce her. So Tosin Oshinowo is an award-winning Nigerian architect. She's an entrepreneur, a public speaker, and an author. She completed her architectural education at the Architectural Association London and also holds a master's degree in urban design from Bolanle School of Architecture, University College London. Since 2012, she has been the lead architect at InDesign Atelier, an architecture design consultancy practice based in Lagos, executing notable projects in the city and beyond. He led and implemented the new scheme of Maryland Mall located in Ikeja, the capital city of Lagos. She also owns Ilia, if I pronounce it correctly, a Nigerian-based brand that entwines her love for functionality and her Yoruba culture. Using her creative design skill and strong ties to the Lagos arts and culture scene, Tosin designs period statement pieces with African contemporary flair. Ladies and the few gentlemen that we have in our midst, please let's say a warm welcome to Tosin. I want to see your claps in the comment section there. Hi, Tosin. You're currently muted. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. This is nice.
Same, yeah, I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. You know, this is my small quiz, so.
Awesome. So I'll just leave now and just let you speak.
Okay.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. This is really cool. I'm happy to be here, and I hope that what I'm going to share is useful for you guys. So I'm going to share my screen. I don't really know how this works, so.
So just share your screen and I will see it here and be able to put it up for you, right?
Is it sharing now? Okay, so can you see this?
Yes, I can. So just put it in presentation mode.
Okay. Right.
Exactly. All right.
Okay, great. So, you know, I'm an architect, so I can be very formal with these things. So I'm a professional first as an architect, and then I'm an entrepreneur. So I've come from a very structured background, which I guess has also helped me, but doesn't mean that's the only way that this can be done. And I think what's important to also note in what I'm going to present today is I can only speak from my experiences and my exposures, but I have worded it in such a way that I think everyone can take something back from it and they can tie it to their own stories or apply it to their own lives. So how do you stand out in your field? Now, I finished at the Architecture Association in 2007. And I mean, this is a group of people in my year, the graduating year. And here's me. I happened to have left Nigeria after secondary school. I went to Queen's College. I did my A-levels in Harrow and then did a first degree, master's, and I finished here. But the thing is, leaving Nigeria, having the culture shock of moving to the UK, always being the only Black woman in the group, you're always kind of in the corner or muted. So I think I grew a very thick skin very early on, realizing that as a minority, that I had to put in a little bit extra to either be heard or seen. So how do you stand out in a crowd? So I've got a few steps. I've got 4 steps, actually. I'm going to take you through all of them. So step 1, be intentional. I think this cannot be underestimated. When you start a business, how do you want people to see you? What do you represent? What do you give off? You know, when I started my architecture practice, after working for a few people, I realized that as a young person, first of all, I look young, although I'm 40 now. So you can imagine how young I looked in 2012. You're young. This is a profession about experience. How do you ooze the right impression? How do you make people feel like you know what you're talking about? Even when you might not have built a building from beginning to end, gone from design to final execution. Also, how you present yourself determines the kind of fees. Now, this is particularly for people in service, and this is for all professions, lawyers, accountants. How do you present yourself? If you go for a meeting dressed corporate, you're more likely to get your clients to understand you as a corporate entity. If you dress casual, not so much. And again, this is depending on the kind of service you're rendering. So I'm only speaking from my experience. But it became very clear to me that I had to present myself as a good brand. So now this is really where my office is now, but I was very intentional about my location. I started my business from my guest bedroom where I'm sitting now in my house. By the time we left here, we were sitting 6 people in this very tiny space. It was so squashed that you had to kind of climb over people's chairs to go to the toilet because we were all sat back to back with a row of tables one side and a row of tables the other side. It was very, very squashed. And there was that initial fear of, okay, I've been running this place from my house. I don't pay rent here, so that's great. So I've had the safety cushion to start a business. I'm going to move out and pay rent. Can I afford to keep it up? And that fear. There's always that uncertainty when running a business, you know, but you have to take that risk and you have to present yourself well. Now, when I had a bit of money to rent, I initially moved into a client's office, which is never a good thing. Please don't ever do that. Because we then became almost like the in-house architects as opposed to being the architects who happen to be in-house. So it became very clear to me that I needed to be on my own so I could control the space. And we moved into CBC Towers. Now, we don't have a massive space. We actually, I guess as architects, have been able to very efficiently space plan a 35 square meter space. But I will tell you that when we have new clients come in, they can see that we're serious. We're in an office building. Our neighbors are Nokia, LG. So we obviously are not on their level, but at least it shows that we are intentional and our presentation is good. These are the kind of fees that we want to be able to command. And it has served us well so far. So, step 2, invest in your business. Now, this section, I'm just going to run through a series of images. In my case, investing in my business means documenting my work. Now, most architects do projects, they do the building. Once they finish, they're lucky and happy to just collect their fees and they just move on. No photos are taken. If you ask them 15 years or 10 years down the line, what have you done? They'll be telling you, oh, that building. And I'm saying this for even well-established firms in Nigeria, because when I first came back, I worked at James Cubic Architects, and I was astonished at how many buildings have been done and how very few had actually been documented. So I made a mental note of this. And because I had worked in Europe before coming, I had understood the importance of presentation and public relations. So this was something I decided, no matter how small or how insignificant the project is, I'm going to document it. Because documentation, which is my investment in my business, has allowed me to propel my business further. So I'm able to then, on different platforms, now represent myself accordingly. And it's not only just documenting the finished thing, it's documenting the process. You know, these things of transition, these moments in history are frozen in time. I can bring this out at any client and explain to them the process of delivering the building because I have processes that show it documented. So this is obviously Maryland Mall, which we finished in 2016, which was our largest project, fully documented. To be honest, the client didn't even photograph this and they had to ask us for the images later. Sensilo, everybody knows Sensilo. Sensilo is like the most popular beach house at Ilashe now. And I'm very happy that as an office, we've been able to do strong work that have really become landmarks in the city. So we're not just producing your average Joe buildings, but because we also document, and because we document, we're able to put it out there, get it published on international and local design blogs. We've created a footprint in terms of what we do. So when people start to subconsciously think, oh, do I know an architect or do you know a practice? Oh, I know those people because you've seen it. Because it's one thing for people to see the buildings, and not everyone, unless you're lucky to have your building in locations that a lot of people pass, you can't guarantee that you can just take, you can get references from people who are just passing by. Even with people passing by, they don't stamp anybody's name on the building. How do they know who built it? There's so many buildings in Lagos that I've gone past, and I think, oh, this is really nice, but you don't know. I've been in restaurants where I've said, oh, these are nice interiors. Who did your interiors? And the waiter is almost like looking at you strangely, like, why are you trying to enter my oga's business, you know? So if you don't actually keep record of your stuff and let people know that this is the skill set that you have, then there's no potential return business from it, apart from the luck or the hope that you got on board with your clients and they will refer you if somebody asks them. And not everyone will ask them. So that's something I was very, very intentional about, to make sure that I control that process by making sure I invest in my business to ensure that we document everything. And in many cases, this is not something that I can charge a client for. You know, it is not cheap to document your work. So, you know, but this is something that I feel is very important. And so we make the extra effort to ensure that we get it done. And we always do it at the end of the project. I'll be honest, it's actually gotten to a point where it's like a mental sign-off. Once I know that I've documented it, then I'm okay. Next, I very rarely go back to my buildings because these are emotional projects. I mean, for anyone who's listening and who is a creative, and there are different types of businesses, there are business-led businesses, there are creative-led businesses. Buildings are very emotional. I mean, for me, I see these things in my sleep. I mean, if I go into my building under construction and they put something in the wrong place, I will tell them before I see the drawing that that's not supposed to be there, because I know these things. They're like my children. So I get quite upset. Sorry. I get quite upset when I go to the building and I see they've changed something or they've painted over it. So I try and stay away. So I have these beautiful images kind of preserved in time, so that I forever remember also how they were initially conceived and how they were finally executed. And I took this same ethos in with Ileila. Now, Ileila is a really interesting business. Ileila started as an idea. As a creative, I'm an architect, but because I'm a creative, I'm able to, I guess, spread within the realm of my area of strength, which is creativity. And this started as an idea. It's quite a long story, but I'll just say the short version, where I had done it as an initial experiment. As a creative, I understood how to create, but I didn't understand the power or the importance of marketing. And again, I went to architecture school. I didn't go to business school, so I don't have a background in understanding how all these things can be put together. I kind of freestyle through this. But the lesson that I have learned in practice, I pick as I go along. And there are many people who don't have the opportunity to go to business school as entrepreneurs. You kind of learn and you sense things as you go along, and you realize, okay, this works and I'll hold on to it. So a good friend of mine, Dr. Kadi, had seen a previous design I had done 4 years prior to 2016. And I had done this experiment with a chair for an interiors project. It had gone well with the client. And then I thought, oh, I might as well try. Oh, my carpenter said, oh, you know, and this was the interesting thing. Instead of you making 1 or 2, when you have another, why don't you make 10 so that you can max out on numbers and you can get the price of manufacture down? And I thought, brilliant idea. And I made these 10 chairs and they sat in my house for 3 months. And at a point, my mom even said, you know, you need to give these things out because you have nowhere to keep them. There's no space for your daughter. And so I gave them out. And so when Dotun saw this chair, he said, oh, this is really amazing idea. You need to push. And I'm like, oh, this is a failed project. I'm really not interested. You know, this is the last one of the failed project. And he said, no. You know, I'm really close with Adekunle. Let's do a photo shoot. I didn't have a clue what a photo shoot was, to be honest. Especially for product, because it wasn't my field. Remember, I was an architect. I knew about buildings, photographing buildings, but not products. And we did this photo shoot and it literally went viral. Everybody was asking about this thing. Ilya didn't even have an Instagram page. And I realized that he had somebody follow us on the day of the shoot who did a 60-minute video, and then he told me to post it. And I was like, okay. And I promise you, I only had like 400 followers. And this thing had 16,000 views. And I was like, you know, when you just see the numbers rolling, I was like, this is ridiculous. Are you serious? And then I realized, okay, this thing was great. So I learned that the lesson in that I was a creative, I was able to create product, but I didn't understand marketing. And once I was able to have that kind of final connection put in place, now this was something that could then become a viable business. I quickly set up a structure, created a website, created an Instagram handle, and then we started planning towards the second chair, which was the Odunayo, which you saw in the previous slides. But Ileila has taken off of a life of its own. Again, this is design. It's not necessarily a need, it's a want. So it's not a required product. So it's really lifestyle driven. But because of the materiality that was used, and we're in a period in our history where there's so much celebration of what it means to be African, this thing now started to resonate around the world. And it was amazing the kind of exposure that I got for Ilela, but also how that eventually influenced the architecture business, because I was now in circles that I wouldn't even have gotten into as just a pure architect, because now I was coming in as a product designer. So I was beginning to see this symbiotic fusion across the two businesses that were benefiting both. I've acted as a supplier for interior designers. I've had clients request the chairs in finished buildings as well, which has been great. So it's like they're feeding off each other, because I've stayed in my realm of understanding. And generally, Ilela has had great PR. We were very fortunate that when Macron came to Nigeria and he had a meeting with Wole Soyinka at Alliance Frontier at the opening, that they happened to sit on our line chair. And I mean, this, for me, I remember Dotun had made a statement very early on in the business saying that, your chairs will be sat on by really important people. And I was like, yeah, whatever, but I can say very proudly that we've had presidents, sit on these chairs, not just foreign president, but Nigerian presidents and even state governors. And generally, the brand has been so well kind of celebrated internationally. We've been in quite a lot of publications. I've only put 2 in here. We've been in Eldeco. This was in March. This was for International Women's Day this year. And this was, I think, in 2018 for Harper's Bazaar. So it's been a really great journey. The brand has done well. We have our sales numbers increasing. And we're also exporting now. We have people who are requesting our chairs in the US, in the UK. And it's just a really great feeling to know that from something that had such simple, humble beginnings in Nigeria, in the back of my house, where they're still upholstered to today, because I'm very particular about the quality to ensure that whatever goes out, I have my eye on it. That within this kind of environment, even in the case of Nigeria, with everything that doesn't go well, that you can actually still create things that can propel far beyond your wildest expectations. So step 3, positioning. I cannot underestimate the importance of positioning. And in my case, I would say I have very intentionally positioned myself through collaborations and collaborations with other creatives. So this is a project that I was invited by Victor Hekamone to collaborate with him, Angels and Muse, which is in Ikoyi. It's a multifunctional space that has 2 bedrooms that he uses as Airbnb. But the whole project was, what was really exciting about it was the fact that it was going to be documented by Netflix. And it is on Netflix now. It's been on for 2 years. There is a series called Amazing Interiors, and it's episode 10. And this is the print screen of the, I think, the last few slides of the show. And it was a really great collaboration. I learned a lot from him. Now, the other thing as a creative, especially if you're very fixed or you've had a certain training, you have a certain way of thinking about things. Victor and I actually argued about this room because I did not understand why anybody would want to sleep in this kind of space. I mean, even till now, I can't imagine waking up in this. This would be like being in a bad dream. But it also taught me the importance of being able to also step away from your comfort zone and to consider other people's opinions and to also see how it resonates with other people. Because at the end of the day, what makes good or bad design, what is beautiful, what is ugly, it's all about personal perceptions. But I think you become a better designer if you are more fluid and not fixed in your own intentions or your principles, and you're able to adapt or to accommodate other people's. Last year as well, I was one of the co-curators for Lagos Biennale. I was invited for this as well. And so think about this. I have architecture practice and I have a product design company. Ideally, there isn't enough time in the day to do all these things, but whenever opportunities come, I don't turn them down, because you never know what opportunity will come from that opportunity as well, and what you will learn and how you will evolve. Because this idea of also improving yourself and adapting and evolving and changing and growing is so important. Once you're too fixed in things, then you stop growing, you stop evolving, you stop adapting, and you stop developing. And even for any business, if you stay stagnant, we look at Kodak. Where is Kodak today? This was one of the biggest companies for photography and, with photo film. they missed the digital camera era, you know. And so it's so important to stay aware of what's going on around you and keep yourself abreast by collaborating with people. So that this is relating to my industry, but for any business, the idea of exposure, collaboration, keeping evolving is still important. So this project I had done with Oyinda and Antoine Bodu. This is the other gentleman was somebody that we met on the project who happened to be the housekeeper or cleaner for the exhibition when it was on. It was very well received internationally. We had the Tate Modern come to Lagos and view it. We had the Louis Vuitton Foundation as well. And from this, there's an article that will come out in the Venice Biennale that I was asked to write about the project. The Venice Biennale was supposed to happen this year. Obviously, because of COVID, it's been moved to May 2021. So again, that's another feather in my hat. So I have a potential publication with the world's biggest, most prestigious Biennale asked me to write an article based on my experiences working on this. And again, this is not pure architecture. The next collaboration, which I'm really excited about, is the one that I was contacted by from Lexus. Now, what was interesting is they actually noticed me from the Biennale. So you can see I've stepped out of my comfort zone of just being an architect and doing pure architecture. And because I'm being able to propel myself as a creative entrepreneur, I'm beginning to gain exposure or tap into other industries within my industry. So now all of a sudden I'm in a space where I'm being noticed and being asked to come on board for a project. Now, this was me getting the call, and then I decided now to collaborate with somebody else, because I think at the end of the day, when you get these kind of opportunities, you don't do it alone, because these kind of platforms are huge. There's enough room for everyone to excel and grow. And the more opportunities that you also endear other people to you, you provide others, will also endear people to you. So this is actually we have a big unveiling, I think it's early December for the project, for what we've done. So step 4, interact. Interact, network. I cannot underestimate this. In my case, I'm very, very active on social media. I think it's so important to enjoy what you do, not just as a job, but as lifestyle. You know, anybody who follows me knows I breathe design. I love architecture. I love products, you know, and in everything I do, it kind of shows. I really enjoy my life. I really enjoy my jobs. And I hope that it encourages other people to see that even as a woman in this environment where things are not great or not enabling, you know, between the cracks, you can actually achieve so much. And so on my social media handles, I share a lot about construction, the realities of going to site, the challenges you face every day in this environment, you know, but I'm very hands-on with everything I do because I really, really enjoy and I really believe in it. And I think it also influences how clients take you. I have a current client now for a project that's for a building that's going up in Banana Island. And I see the way this client, because of the aura I've created around myself and my work and what he even sees, there are certain things I say that he's so respectful and he listens, which has not always been the experience I've had in Nigeria. Usually when you're dealing with people with a lot of money, even if you're the professional, they're not listening to you because as far as they're concerned, they just want you to replicate what they've seen abroad. But the minute that they see that you come with your own aura, you come with your own presence because of what you've achieved, then they're more willing to be submissive and to respect that you're coming here to add value to them, which I think is the best place any professional can end up being in. I put this in particularly because I didn't realize at the time when I was posting this, I was just saying, oh, you know, I've done 8 beach houses, I'm working on number 9 now, I'm really excited. Can you see my line of the amount of exposure I got from this, the amount of people who've called me for work, you know, it's really been mind-boggling. But I think, again, it's about being intentional, letting people know that you have a skill and that you can deliver and that you are here for business. And also being in a position that is approachable, that people feel that they can approach you for that work, I think is also quite important. And really, that's it. I'm still on this journey of discovery. It's been great. It's not been easy running businesses, but I'm really enjoying it and very hopeful for the future. Thank you.
Amazing. Hi, Tosin. That was so amazing. It was so simple. I think that was like the best part for me. Like nothing too complicated. We don't even have questions. And sometimes that question is like a testament of how easy was to grasp. All 4 points. I can recite it, be intentional, invest in your business, position yourself, and interact and work. I think that my favorite one was just everything about positioning and how positioning opportunities help you to position yourself, and that positioning brings in more opportunities.
Yeah.
So as much as you can, don't say no to opportunities, and bring people in when you have the opportunity to, because then that way when there's another opportunity,
Yeah,
they would want to.
There's even something, maybe I should just quickly say this because I didn't really highlight it. There was a project there that I had shown that's like it's a Baha'i temple in Kinshasa. Again, this was about having a good social media presence. I got contacted by somebody from the Baha'i faith. They sent an email. They want us to enter a competition. I was like, this for one, and I didn't answer. Then they called my office line, and I was like, And so we entered the competition. We didn't win, but we really enjoyed the process in the office of doing the design. And then there was an exhibition in Eco Hotel, architecture exhibition, and somebody in my office, Neka, she was like, oh, let's present the project because it's a nice project. And I was like, well, I'm too tired, but if you can sort it out, then please do. And I think that's also important, having a good team as well behind you, because sometimes you're actually just tired and you just want to get on with the work. I really enjoy the creativity. Sometimes I'm not the most focused on the packaging and the other things, particularly with that kind of exhibition, because it just involved a lot of printing and the organization and all. But we presented that project, and somebody from Julius Berger saw it and called us for a project.
Wow.
So we didn't win the competition, but somebody saw that these young people are thinking, they're rational. These people have something. And we're working on a project with them now. So I mean, I just couldn't imagine, how does this happen? So there's so much connections and intertwining. Don't ever turn anything down. You never know what will come from that.
Amazing. There's a question that has been repeated here a lot of times, and is that, how are you 40? Can you please drop your skincare routine?
Maybe I want to thank my mommy. My mommy has good genes.
I mean, when you said it at the beginning, everybody goes.
You know the funny thing. I went for a meeting with a new client, and they were like, "Oh, so how many beach houses have you done?" And I was like, and they asked how many projects have you done. I'm like, "Oh, I've done like 4 residential. I've done like 8 beach houses." And the guys looked at me confused, and they were like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I said, "How old do you think I am?" They said 28. I said, "No, I'm 40. I mean, what I'm telling you, these kind of projects, how could I have done? Did I finish at 5 years old?"
That's so cool. I can actually relate to that, because I'm actually someone. People are like, how are you this age? Amazing. So there's a question here that says, do you handle your social media yourself, or do you have someone doing it?
I'll be honest, everybody has told me that social media is delicate, but I think anything for me that is front of house, it needs a personal touch. It needs a personal touch. I'll be honest, I handed it to somebody, and I still kept the account on my phone, and she had it on her phone, and messages will come in, and I'll just notice 2 days she hasn't answered. And I was like, you know what? It's not her fault. It's my business. I'll carry my team back. Thank you very much. I will do it myself. I'm very hands-on, and because it's not time consuming, I do it as part of my life. It doesn't take me anything to just quickly send a message. So for me, I actually enjoy it. Maybe if it was a chore, I would have given it to someone else. Like, there's certain things like working drawings in my office, the detailing. I hate detailing. I mean, I know what I want it to be like, but I don't have the patience to do it myself. So I'm very happy to give that to somebody else. So yes, I delegate things that I don't probably enjoy the most, but I know are very important. But things that I really enjoy, like my social media, I handle myself. Until I find the person I trust enough, or just blows me away that I feel like, okay, I can let somebody else handle this.
Okay, awesome. And Joyce is asking, said, do you face challenges as a woman, especially because your line of work is mostly male dominated?
Oh, yes, I do. And I think everyone approaches this differently. I'm very intentional. So first and foremost, you will never see me in a skirt on a building site. No. Not because I can't wear a skirt, but I just know that you are sending the wrong message. What you put out is what you will get back. If you go with long wavy hair and long nails and so, they will not even answer you. They'll be like, she's not for this, But if I need to be, guys, we're on this, we need to finish this project, Mr. Painter, Mr. Tyler, you have to come to their level, and you have to you have to dress accordingly. But that's just for me and my business, and it has worked for me. Like whenever young ladies come to my office, if I see somebody we're going to start wearing a skirt, I'll tell you can't come more. You can't climb scaffolding in a skirt. It's not practical. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is what it is. If you want to sit at the table, you have to position yourself accordingly. And I've done that very intentionally. I'll be honest, it's not easy being a woman. I just finished watching The Crown, and I watched the episode where Margaret Thatcher cried in the Queen's office. And you know, there's something you could even see, even her as a woman, she was heading a very male-dominated space. There were no women in her cabinet. There were no women in parliament. But she was firm. But, you know, in her quiet time, she would take a moment and she would break down. It's not easy being a woman. They don't think like us. They don't rationalize like us. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been on building sites, and this always fascinates me. Men will argue in a site meeting and they will abuse themselves. They'll go and drink beer afterwards. That abuse, they will hold it 2 years. You know, so we're very different. And I think there's nothing wrong with being different. It's just important to know that you are different, and within your difference, this is how you need to operate. And like any form of minus or disability, and I hate to use that word in this context, but especially if you know that you're not great at this because as a woman you're more emotional, then you do certain things to kind of cope, like a coping mechanism. Like I've been on a building site where I was moved to tears. What I did, I just got in my car and I went home and I slept and I cried on my way home. But the thing is, I would not cry and let them see me cry, because that's, for me, is like showing a sign of weakness. So it's better for me to just, I will keep a shit face. When I enter my car, I will bellow with tears, get over my emotions, and get back to work, you know.
Amazing. And then have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if yes, how do you work around it? How have you overcome it or managed it?
Overcome what?
Imposter syndrome.
I mean, I've answered this question before. I mean, to be honest, I think it's important to use, it's very important to use your minuses to your advantage. And I always say this. I mean, if you have a room full of, look at Margaret Thatcher, you will never forget her. She was the only woman in cabinet. What's important in that? If you deliver, it's never a problem. It's a problem if you don't. You know, so you just need to make sure that you rise to the challenge so that they will remember you, as in, look at me, remember me. You see these glasses? You remember me. Because not only did I stand out, I actually did a brilliant job.
You did the work. Right. So just do the work.
Just do the work. Don't worry about the imposter syndrome, you know? I mean, people will always pick on people. Look, people will pick on people in the same race, in the same sex. They will always find a reason to pick on somebody for different. Even in families, people will pick on people. Even between Yoruba people, certain Yoruba people are picked on over other Yoruba people, you know? So people are people. You know, if we want to break this down into tiny sections, human beings thrive on discriminating on others. That's just the reality. So as long as you keep your head above board and stay focused and make sure you deliver, let that thing that they're saying is your minus end up being the reason why they remember you.
That's a punchline right there. And I think that's where we're going to cut this short. Let that thing that people say is your minus. So I'll just repeat. I said, let that thing that people say is your minus be the reason why they actually remember you. Thank you so much, Tosin. Do you have any last words before I let you go?
I think it's just important, ladies, I mean, and the gentlemen who are here. Maybe just I want to say something that I think really has resonated with me in the last few days. This project I'm doing with Lexus was designed in Nigeria by an amazing team. I met some young 3D modelers. It's been a great experience. But we got to a point where we realized that the product or the design that we're producing is something that cannot be produced in Nigeria. And we've had to send it abroad to be made. And it made me sad because it made me realize, and they're making this stuff and I can see it and it looks so beautiful. And I'm just thinking, can you imagine if we lived in an enabling environment where things work and there are opportunities and you're great at something and you know you can get it done in this environment? It made me sad, but also made me realize that we're also terribly resilient. In a continent, or in a country with over 180 million people, there's so much raw talent. And just stay focused and stay mindful. even within the cracks of all the dysfunction, you know, there are opportunities to thrive. And I look at myself. I have a Nigerian passport. I had a foreign education. I was very fortunate in that. But I've come back and I'm working in this same mess that we're all working in, and I'm not doing badly out of it. And I think that if you work hard and stay focused, you can achieve anything you want. But keep your eye on the ball. Don't let people distract you, but also have the wisdom to know when to slightly change your plan, because life has a funny way of taking you off course sometimes. But just remember, if this is what you're trying to achieve, just go for it, you know.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time and for dishing out this amazing nugget. And really, thank you for staying from the beginning to the end. I mean, you came in and I had to ask Joyce. I'm like, wait, Joyce, hope we gave Tosin the right time. And then you stayed all the way. Thank you.
I really want to hear what the other lady said. You know, I mean, to be honest, I don't get the opportunity so much to listen in on these things. I was like, well, I'm not doing anything today. You know, why not? I could have been watching TV, so I might as well listen and learn something well, you know? You never stop learning.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll let you go now. Thank you again.
Thank you. You have a good weekend. Bye.
And that's it, the ladies and gentlemen. I'll just bring in Joyce so that we can say our official goodbyes together. Thank you so much, guys. Joyce, do you have any last words before we end the broadcast? Yeah, muted again.
Sorry about that. So basically, given all that we have learned today, I mean, as much as I was busy at the back end, you know, trying to make sure everything was going well, I listened to every session. I got a lot of things from each session, you know, from what Dami, you know, told us about building a business, you know, from the ground up, to Odun on how to, you know, come up with great business ideas, to Bolanle on the power of business partnerships, and Tosin. It's been very, very amazing, and it has actually given me a lot to think about and to put into action. So I hope that you guys have, you know, gotten a lot of valuable information today, and I hope that you'll be able to, you know, either put it into the ideation of your business or execute it in your already existing businesses. And I really hope that you do well in all that you do. In the coming weeks, there's going to be an opportunity for us to know what the ladies in the Women Will community are doing, and we'll see how we can, you know, let other people in our community know about it, you know, because, you know, the moment we're able to do business with each other, I'm pretty certain that we're going to excel. So thank you very much for attending this. Thank you for staying this long. It's been over 2 hours, and we know how valuable your time is. Thank you so much for staying. Thank you for inviting people. Thank you for attending. Yes. And thank you for your questions. Thank you for your contributions and everything that you've done for us today. And thank you for being a part of the Women Will community, because the community is nothing without you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And thank you, Joyce, for that amazing vote. Thanks. I'm not going to say much. Please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel before you go. Just click the subscribe button there. Now we have no choice but to do mostly virtual events. So make sure that you subscribe so you always know when there's a new event. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Women Will Lekki. Women Will Lekki. Please follow us. And also share this with people that you think this will be beneficial to, but you don't have the time to attend. Yes, this is going to be live, so it's always going to be on this YouTube channel. So share, watch, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening, and have an amazing Sunday. And, you know, take care, guys. Thank you so much for attending the session. Bye.
Bye.